Hey everyone, welcome. Give you a little backstory on this filter. It's off my 0173. I actually have this frame mounted before the fuel pump as an extra layer protection. And I walked out my front door and smelled a little bit of fuel as I got to the truck. And I stepped back and I could see the puddle under the ground. And it must have been leaking all night, and go underneath the truck to try to see exactly where it was coming from. And I really thought initially it was from the drain valve at the bottom there. And after kind of cleaning it up a little bit and moving around, the hole that you can see presented itself as some rust fell out, and it's actually rusted through the bottom. So I'm going to be taking it here apart and showing you the inside of it. This filter here had, I'm going to say, just under 6,000 miles on it. And I mean, it's pretty pitiful. Every 3,000 miles, typically, I'll go under there and take a little fuel sample. Which it drains any water that's in there, and also gives me an idea, make sure everything's okay, just preventative. But I'm going to get this opened up here and show you the disaster inside. Down in the bottom, you can see rust in the floor there. Now, I have a good habit of cutting open my filters, and I've done it couple different ways before, but this is a nice way to do it. It's a professional filter cutter. It's got roller bearings, and then the cutter here similar to a pipe cutter, and this is made by Longacre Racing Products. I picked this up on Amazon, and it's been really nice, and it leaves no debris whatsoever in the filter, which is ideal when you're checking oil filters for metal and such. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here and tighten it down. Now this is most easily done if you have the base of the filter chucked in a vise, but this thing is still peeing everywhere, so just going to do it over my oil drain here. So you want to tighten it up. And it's not a race, just like cutting a pipe. You don't want to bury that cutter in there and, be distorting more than you are cutting. You just want to crank up on it slow. And it's starting to cut now. Probably just about through. So I'm going to give it a little more. I'm actually going to go in the reverse direction. And still got a little bit holding here. And that's it. Set this off to the side. And this just has a tiny bit holding there. So here's the underside of the adapter plate here. It's got some surface rust in there and a little larger rust debris. So let's slide out the actual element. And boy, is that nice. Look at that. Now, here you can see the filter working, picking up all the particles, and you could see the fine debris getting caught there. And if you open up the plates, got a little bit of rust particles in there. But check out the bottom in there. That is just horrific. That is the last thing you want to see. And the whole point of this setup is to be providing extra filtration for the fuel system. And I'm going to grab a paper towel and knock some of this out. I really don't want all this going in my oil drain. Alright, so nothing but rust. And so you can see the heavier rust in there, about how the element was sitting in there, and it really doesn't make you feel real great, the fact that it doesn't even appear that this element was sitting in there center and flat. All you have up here is this, and this seal here is vital, but that's the only kind of centering it has in here. And there's nothing in the bottom. I mean, there's a poor little groove in there that the spring would sit in. And then, you know, but I mean, the spring does not, you know, index off of this little dimple there. The filter has full freedom to kind of sit around in there crooked. You can see rust inside the actual filter, which just kind of makes your skin crawl there, because that is on the clean side of the filter, and that is getting passed along, which, you know, up on the engine, that other original filter is going to pick up that. But I actually dropped the fuel tank a couple years ago and did the you know, the mods to it, so you can get a full fill up, and I adjusted the foot height in there, and it got rid of those filter screens on the actual pickup. And I totally cleaned out the tank. It really wasn't dirty in there anyway. So any debris that I would ever get would be from dirty fuel, which you would hope that you wouldn't be getting dirty fuel. And the only other thing is if parts of that pickup deteriorated or the rubber line, you shouldn't be getting anything else. I mean, if you're putting clean fuel in, you should be getting even cleaner fuel out with this. You know, this is just an absolute fail by them. So just figured I'd show you that. Might make you want to get up underneath your vehicle and look at it. But now you can see that it's been disturbed more. You can see that hole right through the other side at the bottom there. It's just gotten even larger now. And I bet you with little effort I could just push this whole bottom through there, but I'm not slicing my hand up doing that. So just wanted to share this with you. Be mindful of this. Now, before I get a slew of comments, you know, people are going to say the only reason why that this would rust from the inside out is if you had water in your fuel. Well, you know, the fuel is not rusting that. It had to have water in it. But I do drain this every 3,000 miles. And even before I had this set up, I've never had an issue with water in the fuel up at the bowl on the motor. It would be nice if they had some type of lining in here. You know, that raises the question, you know, can the lining break down in the presence of fuel. If it was engineered properly, I would say no. Plus, it's a replacement part, so you know, it would be designed to have an expected life. But that's it. So I ended up going 33405 by Wix. I went to a Baldwin, I believe it's a BF 1212. And that's the original filter that I ran on this. I used to, till really now, be a pretty strong supporter of Wix. I've used fuel, oil, air, and even hydraulic filters by them, and have been, you know, been pretty happy. You know, I cut them open, look at it, and you know, I mean, they have good, you know, construction here, other than, you know, this floating around, which, you know, the only issue with that I could see is you have this on here, and it has a seal, and you can see the seal is really, you know, it's worn. It's got grooves in it, and you know, if this thing's able to cock in there like this, you're allowing pressurized oil to bypass, as I knock it over, you know, oil's coming in through here, going around the outside of the filter, returning through here. If this is able to lift up off that seat in there, I mean, it doesn't have to move much for oil to then be bypassing right up along here and right out. And it's something to be mindful of. So it's going to be a while. 15,000 miles. I'll cut open that Baldwin and take a look at that. But there you go. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Post down in the comment section some of your findings and opinions. Usually I run Motorcraft filters up under the engine at the fuel bowl, oil filter, this and that. And, you know, if they're not like crazy expensive or hard to get a hold of, I do that for all makes and models. Honda, put a Honda oil filter on it, etc. But for aftermarket applications and stuff, you know, I was a big proponent of Wix. So, but I mean, there you have it. So I'll quit rambling around, and see you on the next one.